silver has historically made much larger gains on a percentage basis as gold.
Absolutely. As a bull market in precious metals matures and gets longer in the cycle, silver typically takes over and market share and momentum typically move from gold to silver. And I probably think that's where we're at today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode here at Bullion Standard. And Charlie, how are you today? How's everything going for you?
I'm doing fantastic. We've been toying with the idea of our naming of our podcast here, and we've been talking about the Heavy Metals Club. Why heavy metals? Well, precious metals are heavy. We also know that in the mining complex, you need heavy equipment. And sometimes people refer to heavy equipment as heavy iron. And so the Heavy Metals podcast with Bullion Standard is something we're toying around with. We're really excited about it. And we want to integrate all the things. I've got a lot of experience with heavy equipment, so it's something near and dear to my heart. It's in the blood. I love the mining complex. And so today we're gonna talk about a few things, but all relating to the heavy metals and precious metals complex.
That was pretty cool, Charlie. Yeah, I recognize that you have a keen eye for visiting the mouth of a giant open pit mine and appreciating all of the utility that goes into extracting material out of the ground. And so most people wouldn't typically recognize until you have that experience just how sensitive everything is that we see and touch, as we've talked about on another episode.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a miracle, right?
I think it would be a great service to everyone to visit a mine, talk to the people there who run the mine, and understand exactly what it is that happens to get to the point where you have some metal. And everything that we have is a result of mining. And so, nothing exists without it. It takes so much to structure something and for a long period of time and be successful. It's a real treat to understand how fragile, everything is, and also how strong everything is. And so we would love, actually be really great to do a Bullion Standard mining tour one day. And I really want to get in the cockpit of an excavator while Kyle's in the cockpit of one of these heavy haul trucks and load a truck out and go run a load down to the mill. That would be fantastic.
So, Charlie, today's video is called The Top 3 Beginner Mistakes of Precious Metals Investing. But I want to make one more comment. For our upcoming Bullion Standard Pro membership tiers that are under development right now, one of the offerings will be the invitation to join us and visit the mouth of a massive open pit gold mine as an offering. So yeah, you just said something about that. I wanted to just share that. That's something that's going to be really fun and exciting.
Nice. Okay, so that's in the works. That's fantastic. I am so pumped. I can't wait for that.
Right. So thinking about buying gold or silver, there are a couple things we should know and talk about so you don't screw it up. This is a federally unregulated industry when it comes to being a bullion dealer. There are a few states that do require like a licensing component, depending on what you're doing. Minnesota is typically the most well-known. You have to have a bond. You have to be insured. Typically, other states, depending on the specific law of the state, will require a secondhand dealer's license. Most places, gold and silver aren't defined as tangible secondhand merchandise, like a piece of jewelry or a watch or like a toolbox if you're at a pawn shop or something like that. But there's some things we need to know about gold investing and precious metals investing, or precious metals, wealth preservation, that we don't want people to get mixed up with the wrong crowd here. So, Charlie, let's talk about the first thing. Mistake number 1, buying a numismatic product in excess of the spot price, or a semi-numismatic product in excess of the spot price for, quote, investment. What I mean by this is that there are tons of shady marketing companies out there, tons of predatory companies out there who will, get a silver eagle coin graded, get a label put on it, get some mint director's face put on this label, and then, market that coin as rare, 1 out of 100. And, the selling price of this product could be substantially more than the value of the silver eagle in it. And so what is that silver eagle worth outside of the holder? It's worth a silver eagle. It's worth silver eagle bid specifically. What is it worth in the holder? Well, when the company goes to sell it to you, it's worth whatever they get for it. What is it really worth? Silver eagle bid. So there's a lot of companies out there who will sell semi-numismatic, which is defined as like a newer production issue, and then it gets some kind of numismatic value by going inside of a PCGS or NGC holder. And then that company predatorily selling it to you. So these are collectibles. These are high markup products and low resale value. And our advice would be to, unless you really want to have one, maybe just have 1 or 2 or something, don't buy 1,000 of them. Don't buy 20,000 silver eagle coins that are in an NGC holder or MS70 with the face or the signature of, somebody on it that when you go to resell that product, it's just not going to be worth what you paid for it.
Okay, so Kyle, I want to ask you a few questions. So we've got the grading companies, PCGS and NGC.
Correct. Bullion Standard is an authorized dealer for both of these two, by the way, Charlie.
Okay, so these companies are reputable, and they will take in a coin and they'll send it through a process, right? And that process is something that it comes out and they give it a grade. Okay, so I think so there are coins out there, just to be clear, and I may not be right, so correct me if I'm wrong. There are coins out there that are extremely valuable, and they are graded, and they are sealed in these in PCGS or NGC graded holders, and they're certified and they're tracked, and those coins are something that one could say are highly collectible, and that the potential for them to go up in value is great. Is that fair?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're not talking about those coins. There's a distinction to be made here. There's those coins which are definitely something that's collectible and transferable and trackable and established as true, accurate, real, and collectible.
Correct. Those are the great American rarities, mostly from the 1800s and early 1900s. We're talking about newly minted silver eagle coins or something else, a mint issue, like a hyped up issue where the product gets released. Could be just a straight bullion coin. It could be a collectible numismatic type of coin that the mint issues, calling it rare right out of the box, just because they don't make too many. It's kind of black and white sometimes too, though, Charlie, because some of those things, that those very low minted products will have a lot of value. A good example of this would be in 2020, the mint released a Silver Eagle Privy, which is a mark, and a Gold Eagle Privy on a Gold Eagle coin, and it said V75 for Victory 75, the 75th anniversary of winning World War II. What is a privy? A privy is a little mark on a typical issue coin.
Got it.
And so that...
So purposefully marked.
Yeah, just...
Okay, and maybe this is something to distinguish too, because I think we've got a lot of things that going on here, and I think it's good to get clear and distinguish them all. So a privy is a mark. Sometimes those marks are made in not on purpose, correct?
Oh, no, they're purposely made. There could be a die error. So there could be, for a early American gold proof coin, there could have been a little piece of lint on the polished die from when the mint worker was polishing it with his cotton rag. And when that little piece of lint stuck on the coin die, it gets transferred into the coin as it was struck.
And so that creates a unique rarity, which can potentially increase the value of the coin, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so is a privy something that mimics that?
No, a privy is an intentionally placed design on the coin die.
And that doesn't really necessarily increase the value of the coin, other than maybe the perceived collectability of the coin. And so that is something to distinguish as well. If someone perceives collectability in it and it's valuable to them, great. We say buy as many as you want if that's your thing. But at the end of the day, when you go to resell that coin, you may not find a buyer who perceives the collectability at the same high level as you might have when you purchased it.
In other words, a semi-numismatic product, Charlie, Gold Eagle, random year Gold Eagle, we'll just say 2025, or, we'll make it simple. We'll say 2020 or something. Fresh sealed mint monster box. You could send this box into PCGS to get graded with something known as a early release or first strike, depending on if it's PCGS or NGC. So you're going to get this Gold Eagle graded, and it's going to come back with like MS68, MS69, MS70. It's going to have the label on the top. It says, PCGS, NGC, first strike, or early release. And if you're a big gold IRA company or a big marketing coin company where you make your margin on egregiously high markups, you might, get a ex-mint director to work with you on this project and say, hey, we're going to put your face on this holder, and we're going to, have you sign the little insert, and, it's going to be this Gold Eagle product that was just once worth a Gold Eagle. Now it's worth something more because we put your name on it.
Correct. And we don't want to knock anybody here. Like, that's great.
Absolutely.
If people are collaborating and they're creating value for their customer, we love that. We want them to. It's amazing. We're simply pointing out, and correct me if I'm wrong, we're simply pointing out what is the true intrinsic value here. Is it something that you're getting what you're paying for?
So one of the things you could do is really research the coin that you're proposing to buy and see how its value has changed over time. Of course, you could buy a 1895 proof Morgan silver dollar. There was no business strikes issued for this year, only proof. There wasn't that many made. If you have a proof 1895 Morgan silver dollar minted at Philadelphia, you're in possession of a great American rarity. That coin is worth, $20, $25, something like that in silver content, but it's worth thousands, tens of thousands in numismatic value because it's so rare and it's such an early part of, the Morgan dollar series. It's always going to have its value, not like an MS70 Gold Eagle with somebody's signature on the insert sold by a coin marketing company.
I'll plug Bullion Standard Pro here for 1 second. One of the things about our membership is, we have a community of people who are interested in educating themselves. They understand certain things. And so, Bullion Standard Pro is a great place to get feedback. If you are a member, great. We are building out the community features, and ideally in the future, we will have a broad spectrum of questions and answers. And, these will be part of the conversation. These questions and answers will be part of the conversation that everyone will be able to see. So if you're interested, check out Bullion Standard Pro and, join the community if it's something that you see is going to serve you in your education.
Mistake 2, ignoring premiums. So this is pretty high level stuff, Charlie. I think most people would recognize this as something to watch out for. Obviously, you should know that there is a premium for the product that you want to buy most of the time, of course, depending on market conditions. So if gold is $3,400 an ounce, kind of like it is today, just about to creep through, Charlie, the price of your product might be $3,600. And so that would be a $200 premium. And that's just something to be aware of and make sure that you understand that, you're paying that $200 premium for that product, even though the price of gold is $3,400 today.
Something to note, something to be aware of, something to check into, something to create as a practice when you're buying or selling. product premiums. Anything else on premiums?
Yeah, premiums change over time. Sometimes premiums are soft, sometimes they are a lot of money, just depending on what supply and demand is. And so, kind of like how most areas of the economy operate, bullion products, we call them good finished retail denominated products. Basically, anything, Charlie, that isn't a 1,000 ounce silver bar or a 400 ounce gold bar. Products that investors typically own, self custody.
But there are premiums on large bars still. They're just very minute, or what you refer to as soft.
Correct. So there could be a, typically 10 cents per ounce over spot premium for a 1,000 ounce silver bar. We've sold them at spot. Same thing for your 400 ounce gold bars. That is a very rare product for an individual retail investor to hold, a 400 ounce gold bar. You might as well just own some retail denominated products, because today's market, you can get them for pretty close to spot, depending on what product you're going to buy. So, but there are a few times in history where premiums have escalated rapidly because there was more demand than the supply for good finished retail denominated product. A few examples of this, Charlie, would be, the flash crash of March 2020, the failed silver squeeze attempt of February 2021, the volatility throughout 2022, and the bank failures of 2023. And we'll use a Silver Eagle as an example. Prior to COVID, Silver Eagles typically had a premium between $2 and $3 per ounce over spot. During March 2020, premiums escalated considerably. They went up a lot. And so even though the spot price had declined and crashed in March 2020 to about $11 and change, the premiums on the Silver Eagle coins went up. And so even though that the spot price had crashed, people who held Silver Eagle coins during that period actually saw a positive return versus the spot price decline.
So in these rare instances, there's a opportunity to arbitrage.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And so this happened a few more times over the next couple years, and then it really wasn't until August 2023 that premiums started to cool down a lot, and they've just kind of been on a downward slide since then. And they're at historic lows now. There's a lot of products that have a negative premium. That means these products are selling for less than the spot price. One cool example of this is 90% junk silver coins. I think the wholesale ask right now is 85 cents per ounce under spot price. So that's a great value. If you're a Bullion Standard Pro member, you could get 90% junk silver for 85 cents per ounce under spot price.
Keep an eye on premiums. It's something to know about.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, anything else on premiums before we move on to number 3?
No, I think that's it. I think that's a pretty good overview. Just be aware of them. Know that they are there. They exist. They could be negative. They could be positive. Of course, most of the time they are positive. And you always want to know what you're paying for a product. And so that's it. Mistake number 3, no storage plan. Charlie, most customers who buy bullion like to self-custody their product. They don't want to keep it in a vault. They don't want somebody else to have possession of it. They want to own it in their hands. As we've mentioned on a previous episode, there's an old adage, and it goes like this. You don't hold it, you don't own it. So having a storage plan in mind is a really good idea, and something that anybody who's thinking about self-custodying precious metals, i.e. having them shipped to your house to keep in your personal possession, you need to know what you're going to do with them. As we've also discussed on another episode, most home insurance policies don't offer insurance for bullion. You would have to go get a separate policy. You don't want to have anybody know about your metals. Don't tell anybody. This would be a big mistake. You should never advertise that you have 100 gold eagles, at a certain place, and just keep it to yourself. We want to make sure that you have the best idea that owning gold as a form of money is just that. So why would you tell anybody where you're storing your money? That just invites something bad to happen, and we don't want that to happen.
So it's something to consider.
Have a plan.
What is the plan?
That's right.
Think it through.
Right. So, Charlie, let's talk about a bonus mistake. We'll give one more.
Oh, 3.5. Mistake 3.5.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So a lot of people think silver is somehow inferior to gold because it's a lower unit price. A lot of people call silver a poor man's gold, but it's a precious metal, and silver literally translates into the word money. And in a lot of places around the world, silver is actually still used in trade and commerce and a form of money. In places like India and Sri Lanka and Pakistan and other emerging countries. So silver is not, inferior to gold in any way. It's just a different kind of precious metal. And it still has just as much importance and value as gold does, albeit that, it's at a very high ratio in the 80s, 80-something ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold. But it has a different value proposition. It has a different utility. And in addition to being a monetary metal, it's an industrial metal. And it's very critical for how we live our lives and all the things that are responsible for and dependent on silver as an input. We take for granted probably every single day.
Silver has historically made much larger gains on a percentage basis as gold, and as precious metals prices continue to mature, we'll call it, silver continues to historically have higher percentage gains.
Absolutely. As a bull market in precious metals matures and gets longer in the cycle, silver typically takes over, and market share and momentum typically move from gold to silver. And I probably think that's where we're at today. Precious metals are powerful as an investment and as a form of money. Most play it right, some don't, and we don't want you to be part of the people who don't. And so, yeah, the whole point of this video, Charlie, is to just bring a little bit more education out there and, make sure that people have the best possible outcome for how they navigate in this market. So thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen.
If you're interested in the membership at Bullion Standard Pro, please go to bullionstandard.com. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Kyle, how can people reach out?
People can call our customer support line and talk to one of our friendly customer support representatives. Or they could email us at support@bullionstandard.com. And also, you can leave a comment below. We're going to read every single one. You're going to get a reply if you have something to say. We want to hear it, positive or negative.
Remember, every ounce matters, and so does every insight. Until next time, stay informed, stay committed to growth, and hold your Bullion standard higher.